Alrighty, welcome back to part 4. Today we'll be doing Daniel's chapter 7. It'll be World Empires, the Four Beasts. Very important on this lesson. I'm going to go slow with this one because the symbols are very significant of beast, which will be of a dragon, and the others will be of animals. They represent the same four kingdoms. So always remember here, when we talk about nations, it's going to be Babylon, it's going to be Medo Persia, and it's going to be Greece and Rome of the past and of the future. The legs are the past, and the 10 toes will be of the future Roman Empire. So, as long as we keep this in perspective, we won't have a problem. Every kingdom has specific attributes and characteristics that will describe them. So, as not to get lost, always remember the four same kingdoms. And we won't get lost in this. I know people get confused because you had the statue with the four kingdoms, and now but where people get lost is they don't understand. We're dealing with the same entities all the way through this, and their attributes that's going to be in the future. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear as order to take out some confusion when we do this. Now, if I could, like I said, I'm going to try to post notes. I'm going to learn how. If I got to take pictures or whatever I got to do to get them on, I'm going to try to get all my notes. But I will go back to the old segments, like with Daniel chapter 2. If I can figure out how to do it, I will go back and I will tell you to go back, and my notes will be there. So I'll be spending time very shortly on trying to do this. I'm always going to lead off with scriptures. Very important that we do that. Biblically based, not my interpretations. Because you can go back and find different outlines that may be better suitable for you to teach this. You may want a more simpler outline. You may want a more detailed outline. However, God leads you to do this. I should not be the only biblical teacher online because I will ask all the time. God's voice needs to be taken out with his people into the world, not only the bringing up the gospel, but discipleship, teaching folks about the book of Revelation. Once you go through this course, I think you would have no problem being able to go back and even do an outline yourself and teaching this. The key thing is don't be afraid to say you don't understand everything, because I don't. You say, but Randy, I have a handicap. Who cares? So do I. I have a speech impediment. I'm very bad at pronouncing certain words. So what? It's not going to stop me to take the gifts that God has given me and to proclaim the kingdom of God. We all have problems, but don't use them as an excuse that you can't do something. It's like I tell folks, I am a simple country preacher. I'm not for everybody. Don't claim to be, don't want to be. I'm going to reach the ones that God has wanted me to reach out there. I'm just a simple teacher, but I'm trying to get other folks to get the encouragement to go on some type of social media, cell group Bible study, even in your own churches, to start teaching biblical stuff. This is where the church is getting hurt. We're sitting in the pews, waiting for people, waiting for Jesus to come back, yelling, "Come, Lord Jesus, come." Well, it's as you've seen, if you follow me in some of the other lessons, it don't work that way. God has given you spiritual gifts or gift, and he says for you to produce fruit because you'll be judged by your fruit. That's how we're to be judged. It means you don't sit in the pew do nothing. If you go out and help bag groceries, at a food harvest place or a local church pantry, that's doing something. Okay, so let's get started. I'm not going to haul around too much. Time is precious. Okay, we're going to read Daniel chapter 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like a bear, and it raised itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of its four wings of a fowl. The beast also had four heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with its feet of it, and was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels are burning fire, or as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flames. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came to the cloud of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory, in a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them, and stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me known the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall rise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet. Of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the others which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgments was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they should be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of times. It's 3.5 years. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it to the end. And the kingdom and dominion of the greatest of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Here thereto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my connotations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Now we see the Antichrist show up. Very, very specific things. Okay. Daniel's vision of the latter days. You're saying, what do all these beasts and dragons and all this stuff means? Well, we're going to find out. Okay. The first thing I want to bring up is the players. Who are the players in this chapter? It's going to be the Antichrist. It's going to be Jesus, Babylon, Medo, Persia, Greece, and Rome. I'll say it 1,000 times. In the book of Daniel, remember, the Ancient of Days is Jesus. What we're going to see here is the same 4 kingdoms. We're going to see the revised Roman Empire, which will be led by the Antichrist. We're seeing the same players now involved. And this is where people get lost. Different descriptions and characteristics. Okay, so let's get started. Daniel chapter 7, the world empires. Verse 1, the 4 beasts. First of 4 visions between chapters 7 and 12 that Daniel had after Nebuchadnezzar reigned, but before the kingdom was conquered by Medo Persia. The other 3 versions go into greater details within the framework of the first vision. Was instructed write only the main facts, some of the matters. Okay. Verse 2 through 3, 4 beasts, and where did they come from? First, 4 winds of heaven stirring up the great sea, which we know as people, possibly causing unrest in the population. The great sea is most certainly the Mediterranean Sea. The beast arose out of the people. 4 large ferocious animals emerged, each one distinct from one another: Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, and Rome. Description of the first 3 beasts. The first was like a lion, Babylon, made humble by plucking off the wings, because it was also given the wings of an eagle. Knocked down and made to stand like a man, given a man's heart. Also, we see in Jeremiah chapter 49, verses 19 through 22, Jeremiah used both the lion and the eagle to describe Nebuchadnezzar. The second was like a bear. That's Medo-Persia. Raised one side with Persia being the stronger. Remember, it was always raised one over the other. So we see Persia was the stronger of the Medo Persian Empire. So we see here Persia on top, Medo on the bottom. It had three ribs in its mouth. It conquered Babylon, Egypt, and Lydia. Those were the three nations that it captured. And conquest. Okay, was cruel and bloodthirsty kingdom. It crushed it crushed. The third, like a leopard, Greece. It was swift. In 12 years conquered the known world. After Alexander the Great, the kingdom was split. Now he died at a young age. So his four generals, the kingdom was split into four parts. And the four generals each took a region. Dominion was given to it. We see verses 7 through 8. The fourth beast was like a dreadful horned beast, which is the Antichrist, with one conspicuous horn. Roamed the beast. Okay, Antichrist was dreadful, terrible, and strong beast, destroying all in its path. Different from the other three beasts, was separated, had 10 horns, which we know will be the 10 kingdoms yet to come. Has another little horn among them, but had three of them plucked out by the roots. The Antichrist will destroy three kingdoms. In the little horn were eyes like a man speaking pompous words. That's another description of the Antichrist, the little horn. There are just so many descriptions here of the Antichrist. Not to get lost in all this. Okay. Verses 9 through 10, the Ancient of Days is Jesus. Ancient of Days was seated after thrones were put in place. Garment white as snow. Hair was like pure wool. Throne was a fiery flame. Its wheels a burning fire. Thousands upon thousands ministered to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. Court was seated and books were opened. Judgment. So this was a reference to the great white throne. So it's only 28 verses in this, but so much information comes out of it. I'm trying to go slow. I'm being careful what I say. I may get lost in words, and I may zone out for a minute because I'm thinking of not going too far into this. Because for a lot of folks, this is their first time studying. I'm trying to open up a door so later on you can go on and do a much deeper uh, research and self-personal study. I'm trying not to give you too much information is where you get lost, because I go a lot deeper on some of the stuff depending on who's in my class and what I do. So I'm being careful with my words, not to overwhelm our young Christians, especially the newly ones who are just welcome into the kingdom of God, who's been saved and wanting to study this. And I'm trying to be careful not to go so deep as to lose you, because it ain't hard to do. Okay. So what we discussed so far, we have seen certain descriptions of certain nations. We're seeing the attributes of the former kingdoms have been incorporated into the last kingdom, which is under the Antichrist. Because you'll see the attributes from the old put in with this one. So it's not to get lost in this. Okay. Verses 11 through 14. The little horn is conquered by the Son of Man. This is the day of the Lord. This is when Jesus judges the nations after tribulation. Okay. The horn spake promised words until the beast was slain, body destroyed, and given to the lake of to the burning flame. We know the Antichrist and the false prophet are thrown alive into the lake of fire. You're seeing some answers here in the book of Revelation. You will see the beast. You will see the little horn in the book of Revelation. You're going to see here that after the nations are judged and before Jesus takes his millennial reign, what does he do? He takes the Antichrist and false prophet and throws them alive into the lake of fire. So we're seeing here the book of Revelation. I'm treading on words right now. You will see this again in the book of Revelation. You're going to see the beast, and then you're going to see the little horn. You're going to see the 10 kingdoms, the 10 heads. All these will come up again. The rest of the beasts and their dominions taken away, and lives prolonged for a time. One like the Son of Man coming with clouds of heaven, his dominion is everlasting and shall not pass away. Okay, verses. And it's saying here that some nations will enter into the millennial reign because we see there's a remnant. I'm going to teach later on when we get into Thessalonians in the New Testament, where we're talking about we're not promised wrath. Well, what is wrath? There's a difference between the judgment of God and the wrath of God. And I'm going to get into that at a later time. Very important that you know the difference. A lot of folks don't know the difference. The wrath of God goes to the 7 bowls of wrath. That's very important. And the day of the Lord. That is God's judgment where he pours out his entire wrath and he don't hold nothing back. Okay. But that's it. That's for later studies. There's just some things we'll get into. Okay. Verses 17 through 18, 4 kings are conquered by God, 4 kings that rise out of the earth, but the saints will take the kingdoms and possess them forever. So we see in the millennial reign, when Christ comes back, God's people will come in and reign, take the kingdoms away from the kings of the earth. So, self-explanatory. Verses 19 through 20, Daniel requests to know the truth of the 4th beast. Description of the beast is the same as in verse 7 through 8. The little horn was making war against the saints and prevailing against them until the Ancient of Days come, when Jesus comes back. So we're seeing here, you will see this again in the book of Revelation. What are you going to see? The saints are worn out by the Antichrist. Judgment made in favor of the saints, and time for the saints to possess the kingdom after the day of the Lord. Verses 23 through 27, the meaning of the conspicuous horn and defeat. We know that the Antichrist is defeated when Jesus comes back to judge the nation. The 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom, different than the others, will devour the whole world. 10 horns are 10 kings who will arise in the future, will speak out against the Most High. Little horn speaks out against the Most High. He claims to be God. Will subdue 3 kings, persecute the saints as to wear them out. You'll see those same exact words in the book of Revelation. Keep that in mind. Change times and law. Saints will be given over for 3.5 years. So, and Verse 24, another horn is the Antichrist, and he will judge, and dominion will be taken away and destroyed forever. His kingdom and dominion will be given over to the saints. And I'm going to end it right there. Okay. So we see here a lot of information given out, but it's the same players. Remember, in these studies, we're going to what? The players are who? It's going to be Jesus, the Antichrist. You're going to have 10 kingdoms. You're going to see, we're going to see Babylon. We're going to see Medo-Persia. We're going to see Greece and Roman Empire in the past and the future. The little horn we see here is very important. You'll see this again in the book of Revelation. The little horn is representation of the Antichrist. I'll do a review when we get done with the book of Daniel. I'm going to go spend 1 or 2 episodes. We're going to go back over and we're going to do the attributes of all this. I'm going to, so that we can understand before we leave the book of Daniel, the importance of all this. And I'll go back and try to put each kingdom, give all the attributes of it, from the statue to the animal represents, and to possibility attributes into the fourth kingdom, which will be under the Antichrist. So I hope you enjoy. Sometimes you have to bear with me on some of the him hauling around. Sometimes I may pause because I'm thinking of, I don't want to bring everything up to make it so complicated. I'm trying to keep it simple for the new believers as not to confuse them and get so deep in depth that I go, they're going off this way and I'm leaving them behind, and I don't want to do that. Hope you are enjoying the study. I'm trying to be simple but thorough. Very few people understand going through and doing a real study on the book of Revelation. By the time we get there, it will go pretty quick because a lot of answers are already, we're seeing it now in the Old Testament. We're getting a lot of answers about the symbolizations of the book of Revelation. We get there because there's so much left. Like the millennial reign. The book really doesn't explain too much about it, but when we get there, you will already know a lot of stuff, and it won't be as hard. You'll already understand a lot of the hard stuff. There are some things about certain actions that take place. I don't know, can't explain it, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that I do. I hope you've enjoyed this study. Next, we're going to go to chapter 8 in the book of Daniel. So if you want to go ahead and read ahead of time and be prepared, and like I say, don't hesitate to pause and turn to the chapter as I read it. And as I go through, you may want to stop and pause, go back and take good notes, because this is very significant information that you're going to need at a later time just for personal notes. I love you. I will see you in the next episode, Daniel chapter 8, and love you.